service administrator, and those are in order of bigness. Good word.
Are there online classes you can do?
There are not online classes, but a lot of the requirements are not given by us. I mean, if you're certified by the health department, that's one of the requirements. So ServSafe, city health department, whatever, you have to be certified. So that's part of it. Some of it is education. We don't do full-blown education. So do you have a college degree, or have you taken continuing education classes, or there's other things that fall into place. Have you read management leadership books? And so there's stuff like that fall into that.
What if you're already certified in another organization like NSA?
That could certainly transfer over as long as they have fallen within our time guidelines. One thing that we were very intentional about when we created the certification program was we didn't want it to be something where you checked all the boxes and you went to conference and woo, I'm certified.
Exactly.
We want it to actually mean something. So especially the administrator level is the top level, and that's somebody who is over not only just maybe food service, but over multiple departments or multiple campuses. That would be an administrator. A director would be where I am at, where you're over the entire operation of food service. You have to have so many years of experience at that location. So it's something that you definitely have to work towards. Some of you will look at the requirements and go, I'm done. I already did all this stuff. I've been in my church for 8 years, whatever. Some of you are going to go, hey, this is awesome. I can aspire to this. I can get this done in the next year and a half. So we have somebody being certified this year at our membership banquet. So that's exciting. Every year we've had somebody jump on board and get certified, or 1 or 2 of us. And so we want to continue that growth curve. So I encourage all of you to at least look at the requirements and see what's available and see how close you are.
Is that on the website?
It is. Yes, ma'am.
Paul mentioned about the books.
Go ahead. I got to get my slideshow going.
Oh, okay. The books that are a part of certification are just good, basic business, supervision, HR, Christian books. And it will just help you in your ministry. And then I think it's a 1-page summary. You know, did you read the book? What did you learn? What did you glean from it? How are you going to use it? And so it's all geared toward benefiting you where you are.
Okay. Everybody ready? Okay, if you really like what you see, I made some copies of everything that I have. So if you really feel like you want a copy of it, I have it on CDs. You can you're more than welcome to grab one at the end of the show and take one. I stole this from our friends at Cisco because I asked permission. They said, yeah, no problem. Because I went to a thing and I was like, this is awesome. It's done. Can I have it? I tweaked it a little bit, but I want to give them full disclosure, full credit. Just like we have friends at US, we have friends at Cisco too. We're not married at the hip. We appreciate all the donations and blessings that they give us. But we also acknowledge that there are other vendors, and some of you are on other vendors, and I use multiple vendors. So this is going to be a very broad overview class. I'm going to do my best to address specific concerns that you guys raise, but I don't want to get too involved in those because I got a lot of information to go through, and there's no way that I can make everybody here an expert in one afternoon. That's part of the reason why I brought all these copies, is so you can go home and dig through it a little more thoroughly. So, what are we going to do? We want to talk about what's the function of your menu. What's the goal of your menu? Is it there just to tell people that you have food? Is it just to give them the price? So what are you trying to accomplish with your menu? It's something that you need to think about. You want to improve the bottom line with the gross profit pricing. So you might know what that means. Anybody? Okay, we got one, so we'll get there. Did I miss something? We want to increase profits. using layout techniques. Some of this is going to apply to restaurants more than it will to us, but it also applies to a banquet menu you may present, or if you're printing a menu and putting it on a wall. So some of these techniques will apply to you, some of them you'll kind of just move on. Improve food and labor costs with efficient menu design. These are all functions of a well thought out menu. So what's the purpose of a menu? Kind of talked about this. Provide a list of products. That's basic. What's better than that? Well, you want them to reflect targeted customer preferences. So what's the point of having a hamburger on your menu if you sell nothing but vegans? You know, what's the best? You want to offer your products and services, targeted customer preferences that go to your employees' strengths and also your equipment strengths. You don't want to serve a grilled hamburger if you don't have a grill. And you don't have a line cook who's capable of that. So, this is kind of restaurant area. We're going to glaze over this real quick. Maximum size should be 9 by 12. 50% of the space should be covered with print and graphics. Anybody gone to a restaurant and felt overwhelmed when they opened the menu? There's too much print there. It's a psychological thing. You don't really realize it, it's just a feeling you feel. Color should be used to draw your attention to areas that you want the customer to look at. Menus should be reviewed. They're saying 4 times a year. I review mine annually. Okay, so don't feel overwhelmed by that. If you are a full service restaurant, absolutely 4 times a year. You need to keep it fresh because you got repeat customers, a lot more repeat customers. We do have repeat customers, but it's unrealistic with the sizes of our staffs. We don't have a marketing department. We don't have all the resources that a large restaurant would have. Again, this is more restaurant stuff. 24 entrees, 70% of the sales will typically come from 8 to 12 items, and that is very true. I have 75-ish items on my menu, and invariably it's burger baskets. More items can be accompanied using multiple menus. So children's menu, dessert menu, wine menu, well, not wine, but you get the idea there. You can kind of specialize your menus, and that'll give you more product availability. In my cafe, we have 5 menus posted on the wall. One's a la carte, one's beverages and kids, one's sandwiches, one's salads. So we've broken it down so that one page isn't too overwhelming. So you categorize it. Sales of menu items are improved when they're seen first or last on the page. There's a lot of psychology involved in menu design. Good menu descriptions help sell items. You want a chicken Caesar salad, or do you want a fresh romaine lettuce with grilled chicken breast on top, topped with grated Parmesan cheese? I mean, which one are you going to buy? So you need to use those descriptors. They're very important. But they can't be too long, too. So you've got to be effective and intentional with the words that you pick, because they got to be read to be effective. Staggered pricing. Whenever you lay out your menu, you want to stagger the prices. Don't do a price column and a menu item column, because what people are going to do is they're going to scan the price column and go, oh, look, cheapest thing, $3.95. What's that? Okay, next, $4. I can afford $4. What's that? They're not going to read what they want. They're going to price shop. So you want to try to discourage that. Menu decision grid. All right, so every menu has these 4 items on it. You have a plow horse, you have a star, you have a dog, and you have a puzzle. It's just names given to certain categories. So plow horses, they get high sales but low gross profits. Those would probably be your burgers. So selling a burger at $4 costs you $3 to make. You're making $1, 25%. Okay, but you sell a ton of them. So you're making $400 in burgers because you sell 400 burgers. Stars are high sales and high gross profits. So those could be like a quesadilla, really popular item, pretty cheap to make. Selling it for $4, costs you $1.50. You're making $2.50 on every one. So higher gross profit, same price. Low sales, low gross profit. Dogs, you want to get rid of these. These are terrible. So garden salad, you know, you sell it for $1, costs you 90 cents to make. It's really there just because it's convenient. You need to up the price, you need to up the sales, you need to do something to change that item, or you need to eliminate it. And then there's puzzles. These are low sales but high gross profit. Maybe if you have a full, like I have a salmon plate on my menu. It's just there really because it's a nice healthy offering and we have some people who really like that. Low sales, I got a high profit margin on it. I sell it for $8. I think it cost me like $2.75, $3 to sell. So high gross profit, but I'm only selling 1 or 2 a week. Now I've chosen to have that on there because I want the diversity on my menu. I want to have those couple of items so that it makes it more appealing as an overall menu. And those are questions that you're going to have to answer at your individual operation. So, encourage the sale of puzzles because you got high gross profit. That's where you're looking. Eliminate the dogs, and then you can change the recipes or placements or prices to move the plow horses and the puzzles around to get them to the stars. Alright, menu pricing. The right price is the highest price that customers are happy and willing to pay. There's not a right price. So, like we talked about in the discussion, you need to look at your market. What will your market bear? Are they going to pay, you know, $6 for a burger, or they only pay $3 for a burger? What your competitors are selling it for? Who are you selling to? What's your clientele? Are you selling only to the maintenance guys in the building? Or are you selling to the directors? You know, that's 2 different levels of clientele in our world. So, what are they willing to pay? And that's where coming having a diverse menu that try to meet the needs of all of those is going to help. And again, that's history is going to tell you what the right price is, and market research. And a lot of ways that you can do some market research on your own without committing to a menu change is through daily specials. We run a daily special every day. We can play with the price, we can play with the offerings and see which items are popular and see what the client's willing to pay. They may be willing to pay $12 for a steak that day. Do I really want to put a $12 steak on the menu? I don't know. How many do we sell? Menu pricing factors: the cost of ingredients, the cost of labor, the level of your competition. So, relating to that, more banquet side of it, you know, do you have a lot of outside caterers coming in your operation in your building? The uniqueness of the product. Does everybody selling salmon, or are you the only one? Pricing rules of thumb. The highest priced entree should sell for 2.5 times the lowest priced entree. Really more related to restaurants. You can apply these to your menu. Appetizers, we don't have appetizers. Desserts, really don't, I mean, unless banquet menus, but really geared towards restaurants on that. Gross profit pricing is the key to maximizing your bottom line. Everybody understand what gross profit is now? Yes? Food cost percentages are not used to make menu pricing decisions. Okay? Gross profit is. There's a huge difference. You need to know what your food cost is, but don't just blanket, 35%, I'm good. Because you're going to overprice yourself in some areas and you're going to underprice yourself in others. So you have to look at that as a factor, but you really have to look at gross profit also. There you go. The following example, all right, so we're going to fly through this a little quickly because I want to have some time for Q&A at the end. So we have a ham and cheese sandwich and a po' boy. $3.99, $4.99. Ham and cheese, pretty cheap. 22% food cost. Po' boy, $1.49, still pretty cheap. 30% food cost. Okay, gross profit, $3.10 on the ham and cheese, $3.50 on the po' boy. Higher percentage of food costs. Which one do you want to sell? You want to sell the po' boy. You can make more money. So higher food cost, you would naturally think, oh, I don't want to sell those, but yes, you do. You make more money. All right. There are a few simple steps. Improves your gross profit. Alright, so the example, nice fancy menu. Okay, like the menu? Pretty good, yes ma'am.
Can you turn the screen just
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
this side of the room? Thank you.
Uh-oh. Does my press record? Is it going, Jared?
It's recording.
Okay. Alright, can you see now? Everybody see? Okay. Like the menu? Got some color? Let's talk about how wonderful it is. Alright, so we're gonna look at the now you can do these for your menus. It's gonna be a little time consuming. If you set it up in Excel, then you'll have it done for the time and you'll just have to add each item as you go. And I believe there's a spreadsheet on here to help you do that. So, everybody see what they've done? They've broken down the cost. So, by item, what goes on it, that's basically your cost, selling price, your food cost, your gross profit. For a single cheese, a double cheese bacon, so that's all their burgers. So, you look at the food cost, 50%, that's crazy. There's your, how much money you're gonna make. Which one do you wanna sell out of all these? There.
Double cheese, yeah.
Double cheese bacon, $2.42. Not the highest food cost, not the lowest food cost either. So, you gotta pay attention to that stuff. Alright. Anything special about the burgers? Kind of look the same, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know which one you want people to buy? Or, you know. So we talked about which one. So, what can we do to sell more? So, that's the one we want to sell. So, what do we do to make the burger special? Well, all the burgers are USDA certified ground chuck. Now they're special. That's not really that special, right? We all know that. The customer doesn't. And it's the truth. We're not lying, but it accentuates those burgers. It makes them stand out. So they're saying their units went up when they changed it to USDA certified ground chuck. Pretty big impact. And this is a real life study from Cisco, by the way. So it's not just made up numbers. Okay, what else can we do? Well, staggering the prices. Okay. Makes it harder to discount or shop. We want to move the item that we want to sell first to the top. Because as Americans, how we read a piece of paper? Top to bottom, left to right. That's where your eyes start. It's natural. Put a box around it. Now it draws their eyes to it. Put a little description, the juiciest burger in the house. Woo! It's all the same meat, it's all the same burger. But it's the juiciest. Okay? So call attention to those items that you want to highlight. And then bundling is a great way. You may take a hit on the overall money revenues that you're receiving in by giving them a discount, but you're also guaranteeing yourself to sell a fry and a drink, which is an overall upsell. So you can upsell by saying, hey, you get to save money. That's kind of like the old, women shopping thing. I saved $300 on this pair of shoes. But how much did they cost? So, bundling is a great way. We do baskets at our place, and almost everyone gets a basket. And we also give them options. We get, you want a fry basket, you want a chip basket, you want tater tots. We give them options, not just locked into just French fries. And we've adjusted our portions so that all of them can be the same cost. There's our numbers. So putting the box, again, adjusted the sales. So again, change your gross profit dollars. That's $17,000 a year by putting a box around a burger. Alright, number of offerings, special versus regular items, seasonal planning, physical location for your menu, laying them out. when you're thinking about how much you want to offer, your sales volume is going to play into that. You're not really, if you're selling 15 items a day, you can't have 15 different items on your menu. But if you're selling 1,000 items a day, you certainly don't want 100 items on your menu either. So you have to find that good balance. Storage is also an issue. In our cafe, we have one cooler. Well, I can't add 12 new items to the menu unless I maybe take something off that's going to free up space in that cooler for prep and for production. So your storage plays into it, and your storage too, and your walk-in cooler. Your workforce, can your guy handle 12 more items, 12 new recipes to memorize? Now he has, instead of 30 possibilities on ticket, now he's 50. So you got to think about that stuff. Is it going to slow your service down? Is that going to affect your quality? That's what I was talking about a while ago. Specials or market tests gives you an opportunity to play with some items and see what sells. And then you can always bring back specials to see if they're consistently selling well. You can always put them on the menu. Now, my experience in the restaurant world has taught me that as soon as you move a special to the menu, it doesn't sell. And it's probably happened in some of our world as well. It's not always the case, but it is the case a lot of times. So once you put it on the menu, it's no longer a special. Nothing's changed about it, but it's that psychological impact of having a special. So, what promotions do you want to do with your menu? Do you want to run a special promotion to upsell certain items? Not necessarily, I'm not a fan of coupons, but if you buy 3 burgers in the next 2 weeks, you get a free basket upgrade. Everybody who buys a quesadilla today gets guac with it. What are some promotions that you can realistically do in your facility that will increase the item sales that you want to sell, but not necessarily cost you a lot of money? And then how do you market that? Do you do email? Do you do Facebook? Do you do Twitter? Do you do word of mouth? Do you reach out to the buildings in your surrounding area and get outside business in? There's bound to be an office building or some kind of complex near you. The neighborhoods, do you hand out flyers? How do people know that you even exist? Because yes, we're there to serve the business in the church, the office administrators, the teachers, the kids, whoever's there, but is there that possibility to reach out to the neighborhood outside and bring in some outside business? Because that's free money. We have a nursing home across our parking lot, and we get a lot of their business because, quite frankly, the workers are sick of their menu and they're tired of the food. They've told us, it's not me, that their food is mediocre and they're not really happy with it. And they're willing to come over and buy our food. So there's opportunities out there. All right, so this is more related to restaurant. This is the way that your eye naturally goes. You're going to start in the middle, you're going to go to the top, and you're going to go to the bottom. Even though we read left to right, that's where your eyes naturally fall, this is what you're going to read first. If you have a 2-page menu, everybody starts at the top right because they assume appetizers are on the left. It's just the way that we're trained. Again, in the middle, and this whole psychology of where you're going to read first. It's kind of crazy, a 3-page menu. Okay. So, you want to put the most profitable items first, again with the gross profit margin. Second, put the most the second most profitable items. Obviously, at least, yes, makes sense. Okay. Children's market. How many of us serve kids? How many of us serve kids on a daily basis versus like parents bringing them in? So this is pretty big right here. This goes back to Wednesday night meal. If the kids come in, the parents are coming in. So if you can market to the school on site or the daycare, hey, we're running a special. Kids eat free tonight. Come join us. First time visit for free for the family. Whatever. Get them in the door. let them see your quality, let them see your heart to serve them, and then go from there. Desserts, how many people sell a lot of dessert? Anybody? We sell cookies. We sell tons of cookies. We bake them fresh every morning, and that's why they sell. We don't sell cookies that are 2 or 3 days old. Once they get the next day, they don't touch them. They don't want them. I want the fresh ones. Can you give me the fresh ones right there? So, makes a huge difference. This is our cafe menu, so I was telling you we have 4 menus. Actually 5. They're on magnets. These are printed on magnets. So as my cafe facility serves different functions, during the day it's a cafe. Wednesday night, it's Wednesday night meal. So we'll pull down those and we'll put up a blank on the ones that don't need space, and we'll put up other specialized menus for those other specialized events. So that way, my biggest frustration when I had one menu board was people would come in on Wednesday night and go, I'll take a hamburger. Okay, I'm sorry, that's only lunch menu, it's not available right now. And it was a constant battle. So just make the menu go away. So we take these, we stick them over the other menus because they're all magnets. Stick them up there. When we're done, we pull them down, stick them back in the closet. We have a metal plate on the closet door to kind of stick them on there and make them go. All right. What's good about this menu? Anything? Anybody? Speak up, yes. Got a box, right? Yeah. It's a famous Reuben, yes. They got a little picture of a burger. Nice. It's divided so your eye kindly falls into the sections. What's bad about it?
Staggering of prices.
No staggered prices, right? So which they're trying to sell? They're trying to sell this one. Which the hot sandwich is the most difficult to prepare, probably. Well, Max Famous Reuben says lots of corned beef pastrami, turkey pastrami, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, Thousand Island, served with potato chips and coleslaw. Does that sound harder than a hamburger? Yeah.
I would say the menu's a little too busy also. You need more open space.
Right. They're pretty tightly squeezed in there. All right, how about this one?
Good color.
Anybody? We got some boxes.
Less variety to choose from.
There's less variety.
Different fonts are.
They're trying to sell Friday fish, but it says Friday only. That's a big chunk of space to take up for a Friday only thing. They're trying to sell the Isidore burger for $6.50, but I wonder what their contribution margin is, because Smokehouse burger is $5.95, which is 55 cents cheaper.
What's the Isidore have on it?
8 ounces, best Angus beef, flame broiled with, let's see, the way you like it, served with tomato and lettuce and topped with a choice of cheddar or pepper jack cheese.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah, it's just a cheeseburger.
It's a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Big cheeseburger.
Not enough cheese.
How about that menu? Anybody like it?
Boring.
Boring. How many have menus that look like this? Anybody? Yeah. They need color. They need to not have all their prices in line, right?
Right.
It's not laid out how people read it.
It's not laid out at all.
Right.
It's too small. The headers are the same size as the text.
Right.
There's no
Right.
font size change. Okay, gross profit analysis. Has anybody ever done this on their menu?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. It's a big commitment to do this, but it will make a big difference in your world. And it's something that you should think about doing, and it's something that you would have to commit to do over 6 months, okay? Because this is not something that you or I can do over a weekend, because again, we don't have the time and the staff to commit to it. We're still in operation full blown. So you have to look at the units sold, gross profit per unit, and then your total gross profit contribution. So, and you can also look at your units sold as to compare to where it is on the menu.
One question for you.
Yes.
Paul, do you find, I mean, I don't know how your structure is, but I don't know if a lot of the ministries are structured to the degree where they're given it a price, and, you know, the church don't wanna, I mean, just a blessing for my background, that I can, you know, I mean, we constructed a ministry menu price.
Yes, yes.
And it's insane, I mean, the cost, I mean, but that's where they wanted to be, and it really hadn't changed, and my job is really to make sure that what I present is appealing, advertising, and it fits within that $9.95 or whatever the cost is for, you know, and I mean,
Sure.
it's tough, but a lot of ministries are structured that way, so.
Well, a couple of things that we've done with our menu and our structure in general is, first rule is, you can pick the menu or you can pick the price, but you can't have both.
Right.
A little saying. Another saying is, fast,
Mhm.
good, and cheap. You
Mhm.
pick two.
Right.
Which two do you want?
Right.
Fast, good, or cheap?
Right.
Can't have all three.
No, we use I say, you know, do you have a theme?
Right.
Or do you have a budget?
Right.
Because if you have a budget, you give me that budget, we can sit down.
Absolutely.
And construct a menu based on the budget. But if you have a theme, sometimes that theme's gonna go off the wall and price really don't matter to you.
So another thing that we've done is I've separated service out.
Mhm.
So not only do they have the choice, kind of like Marcus has done with backing stuff off,
Right.
they have the choice of what menu they want, and they can adjust the menus and take
Yes.
the salad away or whatever they need to do to try to make it fit.
Right.
But then they can choose their service package. So we have like 4 levels. We'll do a drop off.
Right.
So we'll drop it off in the room,
And you'll go for it.
and we're done.
Right.
We don't even give you chafers.
Mhm.
It's like sweet tomatoes, or, you know, a restaurant would drop it off.
Right.
Disposable tongs, we're hands off at that point, and if you throw it away, if you eat it, if you don't eat it, whatever, it's your
Right.
deal. The next step would be a buffet service.
Mhm.
We'll set it up in the room, put chafers out, make it nice, make sure that somebody checks on you from time to time, and that's with plastic.
Right.
So styrofoam comes with our food.
Mhm.
They want to upgrade to nice, fancy plastic. I have that as an option. That's the next step up. So a buffet with plastic. So it's the white Comet plates with the silver rim on the
Yeah,
edge.
yeah.
They're disposable, but they look very
Look
nice.
good.
And we have appropriate glasses and forks and silver to go with that package.
Mhm.
Then the next step up from there would be the China buffet.
Mhm.
And they go to China buffet. Now I have to pay a dishwasher, and I have to have one waiter on duty to clear the room. So that's your next step up. Your final step up would be plated with, you know, white glove service,
Right.
seated at the table. So those are their options. They can choose to go with 3 styrofoam,
Mhm.
or they can choose to go with $7 a person plated.
Mhm.
Their choice, or anywhere in between there.
Right.
So I've given them the control of how much they want to spend,
Mhm.
but I've also given them parameters and said, look, you know, you can pick
You
the
can
price
alter
or
it
you can
however
pick
you
the
want.
service. It's
Right.
your deal.
Okay.
Now, if they want to go totally custom, then again, we'll do a total custom menu for them. We'll do whatever price structure on the service and all of that, but again, I work all that into one price.
Right.
So here's your per person price for this event.
Mhm.
And we have events like that too.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Feel free to keep popping them up, yes,
I
sir.
was just gonna say too, one thing I push, on the ministry is to budget appropriately and make sure that they understand as they're planning their year out and they're planning the budget for certain events, that they know what they wanna do as they're budgeting. So that, you know, they want a $15 a person meal, they know that when they're asking for the money. And they're not coming to you saying, well, I budgeted $10 a person. You know, and that, that over the course of a couple of years has really helped. When I first started them, they were expecting $8 a person or $10 a person, and now they realize to get what they want, they're gonna have to budget 12, 15, or more, depending on what the event is. So.
Yeah, and you'll do an $8 meal for them, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not what
It's not
they
the same.
want.
Right.
That's not what they're looking for.
Right. Right. Okay. Dogs would be items that contribute less than 3% to the total gross profit. So you try to eliminate those items. Average check. So the key is maximize gross profit, not food costs. And you do that by having to do a gross profit analysis. You can do it on one menu item a week or 2 menu items a week. That's a manageable task because you have to have your food cost, you have to have your sales volume, and you have to have your price. So those 3 items you can come up with. You can do that on one menu item a week or one menu item every other day or something. That's a manageable goal to try to reach towards. Gross profit dollars can be maximized by targeting selected menu items for promotion. Again, we talked about that. Or deletion. If nobody buys it and it's not making you any money, why are you selling it?
At what point do you determine when it's gonna come off? After having sold over what period of time?
Well, like I said, we evaluate our menu. We try to do it on an annual basis. So it's at that point in time,
Okay.
we look at our annual sales, which is a great way to look at it because it's not fair to evaluate an item the week of Sunday school because you're gonna have a lot more families in, you're gonna get more volume in the cafe, and you're gonna sell strange items because those aren't your normal customers. You're gonna sell tons of salmon salads because all the moms want salmon salads, but then they go away and you can sell another one for 2 months. So look at it over a year or several month period so that you're getting a good average of what your sales are. It's expensive to change menus a lot of times. If you have a board or electronic where you can change it on the drop of a hat, then yeah, you can evaluate it on a much more frequent basis. But for me to reprint my menus, it's $80 a board, which is pretty cheap. But it's an investment, and I don't want to be doing that every 3 months. There was another item. The menu pricing, banquet menus and cafe menu. Our banquet menus are in line with our cafe. We try to remain consistent across the board. So if I'm charging $2.50 in the cafe to add chicken, I try to remain consistent across the board because what's the difference in the person walking through the door versus now service? You're adding service by buffet or you're adding other items.
Right.
So therein lies the difference, but the price of the food is the price of the food. So you need to, that's an integrity issue for me, is I want to try to remain as consistent and even across the board for everybody that I'm serving throughout the time.
But you're also
Real big.
you're also adding special sauces and
Yes.
special sides to that chicken that you're getting in a cafe to the banquet.
Yes,
So
and there's a lot more
that's
service
also a
involved.
charge.
And they're using chafers now.
Yeah.
And that there's a cost involved in maintaining and owning chafers. There's a cost involved in beverage dispensers. They break, they need new seals.
That's what my church doesn't understand. That, well, it's the same chicken breast. Yeah, but now you're getting all this other stuff to go with that chicken breast.
Yes, and another thing that really is very beneficial when you're comparing prices, because I've had ministers come to me and give me a price for a chicken meal. So I give them my chicken meal. Well, we got boneless, skinless chicken breast grilled with a sauce, nice fresh green beans, maybe a rice or a potato. Then dessert, we have, a fresh made dessert or, from a bakery that I use, a really nice dessert. And he came back to me and said, well, I can get it cheaper through this other place. I'm like, great, go for it. Bone-in chicken, desserts were still frozen, green beans were overcooked in the army green. So that's a hard lesson for him to learn, but it's something that you guys need to educate your staff not your staff in the cafe, but the staff of the church.
Right.
Are you truly comparing apples to apples? Or is it apples to grapefruit?
And the
You know?
money leaves the ministry the other way too, Paul. That's what you gotta get them to understand, you know what I mean? Let's sit down and be realistic and come to an agreement to the degree that we understand it's all about the kingdom.
Right.
Whatever you don't spend here, when you decide to go outside, that money
That money's
leaves this
gone.
ministry. Yeah.
If you keep it in the four walls, then it circulates again and it helps build up the whole church.
Right.
Absolutely.
Paul.
Absolutely.
We had one of the ministries wanted, it was a school, and they wanted to bring in they're going to bring in Carrabba's. Carrabba's giving them a great deal at $10 a piece, but they need me to provide the service, the silverware, the plates, the glasses, the desserts, and the beverages. I charged them $5 a person. Now their meal cost them $15. However, I told them, had they used me, I would have given them the same meal for $12.25.
Because it's all pasta and sauce, what they call it.
And Carrabba's brought 2 people out to serve 200 people.
Yep.
They brought out wire-shapen dishes with just a stern on it, and there was no cloth and skirt on it. I mean, it looked like you were at a park doing, feeding the homeless. It was nothing special.
And that's another factor that you want your ministers to realize. I'm gonna this is my house.
Right.
I'm proud of my house.
Right.
I'm gonna give you a level of service
That you can't get out.
that an outside caterer is gonna charge you through the nose for. So, what's the food that, apples to apples, what's the service, apples to apples, that you're getting? So that way, and again, it goes back to, Dane will back me up on this, is we don't wanna be Walmart. I don't wanna be Walmart. I'm not the cheapest game in town, I will never be the cheapest game in town.
Right.
Cause I don't wanna be known for being cheap. I wanna be known for excellence, I wanna be known for quality.
Right.
So, and we got lots of ministers who are on that bandwagon now with me and go, you need to use Paul because it'll be done right.
Right.
And it'll be great. And they have repercussion. If it's not excellent, they can come back on me.
Right.
And they can come back to me and say, this is what wasn't right, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I'll fix it, or I'll discount it, I'll take care of them, I'll know what they want next time. Whereas an outside caterer, whatever, the event's done, we're done, I don't care about you.
And the money.
They've already paid.
Right. So, there are other factors to take in advance. Please don't do that. What else we got? We got more questions, guys, we got more time. I want to go fast.
How do you primarily, serve the catering inside your church, do it for outside?
The way that our taxes are set up in Houston, and we've had our lawyers go over all this, is if I do inside catering, inside meaning I'm inside the 4 walls, doesn't matter who the people are, I don't have to charge tax. So that's cafe, that's catering, that's school, whatever. I don't have to charge tax, so I'm happy with that. So I don't do outside catering. Now, if somebody wants to come pick it up and take it to their house or take it to their event, I'm not leaving the building, that's inside. So I do that for them. We don't do that very often, but I'll do that for them because there's food safety issues that I'm concerned about. So I really have to kind of make sure that they're gonna handle it properly.
The liability is not on you once they leave the building with.
Right, cause it's to go.
Yeah, it's to go.
It's just like all the food I sell in my cafe every day. It's packed in a to-go box. Once they take it, they either eat it or they take it. It's off my plate at that point.
Okay, now there's a second part to that question. We have been advised that we can't make money on ourselves. In
Okay.
other words, charging, what we charge a department. How do you determine what to include so that you're not profiting or making money, that you're truly covering all of your costs?
So you're not a profit center.
Exactly.
You're a zero-line budget item, which is what I am. I am not a profit center. I'm not there to make a profit. However, I do need to make some profit. Because
We're considered self-sustaining.
exactly. So you gotta cover your labor, your chemicals, your paper, your linens, not your electricity, your gas probably, or your rent, you're good there.
Hood
Most of
cleaning,
us are in that boat.
inspections.
But every other category of disposable and you gotta cover all that. That's the same boat I'm in. This is a great opportunity to utilize that scholarship line. So you charge the right price. You charge what you need to charge. And then if at the end of the year you have money left over, great, now that goes into a scholarship fund. And now you're able to bless some ministries in the future. Hey, you know what? We noticed you guys wanted the grilled chicken dinner. Let us upgrade you to chicken marsala. I will cover the difference for you. You still charge that in the budget, in the accounting, you still charge them $15.95 for the marsala. But then you back charge yourself $3 a person. So all of the accounting and all of the numbers are, there's integrity there. So if somebody looks back, they see $15.95 person on the bill, but they see $3 ministry to you for scholarship fund or whatever. You also need to try to think about, you're gonna have equipment break that the church isn't gonna want to buy for you. So you have to have some kind of profit, if you will, going. Now, I try to keep it as low as possible. We try to be really competitive with our pricing. We're way below the price that Marcus charges. Our average meal is $15 a head, probably, for catering. And that's with service, disposables, and everything.
You're not making any profit on that?
No, I make profit.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I thought you said budget line zero.
Well,
Zero,
at the
no
end of the
profit.
year, they want me at a zero. Now.
So that means.
This year, I'm gonna make $85,000 in profit. But now I'm taking that money, and I finally convinced my boss, because it used to be, if I didn't spend it that year, it went away, it's magic land.
Right.
And so, I finally convinced my boss this last year, let me save that, because I'm gonna need a backup generator for my walk-in cooler and freezer that you don't wanna buy for me. I'm gonna need to replace catering chafers that are $500 a piece. I'm gonna need these things down the road. I don't need them today, I don't need to buy them today, but I'm gonna need them. Let me hang on to that. If down the road I need to make a donation to the general fund because I got too much, great, I'll do that. But let me hang on to it for at least a year or two to see where we're at. Because it's not fair to me to expect me to be zero at the end of the year, because I did that. I had a $30,000 profit the month before my year end. I was like, I need China. A lot of it's been broken, it's old. I'm gonna buy China. I spent 30 grand in China. Oops. 30 grand in bills hit late that were supposed to have already come through. So now I'm 30 grand in the hole. So that's a lot of stress to put on a director to try to come in at zero. It's not fair. So they need to let you at least have a grace period of a month to see where you fall. If you have to spend it, great, but at least give me a month past due or something to, yes ma'am.
I'm a small church. And basically my ministry leaders come to me with an amount and say, I need this for this amount of people. What can you do for me?
Right.
Where do I start with a menu? What would be your suggestion for just writing a basic menu to get started?
So you don't have any menus at all?
I have none.
Okay.
They know what I'm capable of and what I have put out just because. But give me some ideas of what would be beneficial for a small church.
What are the prices they're starting at?
They go anywhere from $100 to $300.
For how many
For a
people?
meal for 100 to
So
25.
give me a per head price.
I don't have one.
You mean $100 for a group of 100? Is that what you're saying?
No, $100 typically is for like 50 people.
So $2
Maybe coffee and cookies.
I'm telling you, they expect me to work magic, and I'm just trying to get an idea so I can start putting numbers in front of them and start putting ideas of what we can give them for the price, so I can start making them more aware to budget.
Okay. Going back to food costs. Do you use Cisco? Do you use US Foods? Do you go to Sam's? What do you do? Okay.
Paul, I came from a small church, man.
Absolutely.
First thing I would do is take the amount of money they have you and divide it in half. Half is going to be definitely your food costs because you're shopping at Sam's, not at a distributor. The other half is because you're a small church, a lot of your costs are magnified. If I do a banquet for 1,000 people, I can hide 50 cents per person there. But you're going to be having to hide $3 or $4 and you don't have it. That $2 is very unreasonable per person based on that.
Yeah.
I would turn around and do this here. And chicken breast a year ago cost us 74 cents for a 6-ounce chicken breast. You can't even get that anymore. It's over $1.28, for a chicken breast. So what I would do is if they gave you that small amount, say, guys, and you know what, it's just a matter of explaining it to them, but you turn around, go back to them and say, okay, based on that, you have 50 people and you have $200, you're giving me $4 per person. I invest, and don't tell me you're going to spend $2 in food, but you imagine that you take $2 and then go back and say, what can you do? You could do for a ministry, you could do a plain chicken breast, and then you can put some rice and a canned vegetable at best, maybe some frozen vegetable on there, not even include dessert, let them do their own dessert, but you're scraping the barrel, and when you only spend half of it, you get the other half for, we were just talking, the aluminum foil, disposable pans. How many of you use disposable pans? Somebody's got to pay for them.
The chemicals.
Sorry?
Cleaning.
Cleaning. Sternos underneath the chafing dish, all these things there, they add up. They add up much quicker for a party of 50 than they do 1,000.
Yeah.
But they add up quickly, and you find out people want to come and use your kitchen, do different things. They use these things, and that's when you find out what the cost is. But I would start with saying take half of what they're giving you and find a menu that meets that. If you can't do it, which in that case you can't, at least go to them and say, guys, but you know what I do when ministries come up to me and say, our men's ministry wanted a steak dinner and they wanted to do it for $10 a person. So what I did is I went back there and I gave them a trace major, which is a glorified sirloin, and turned around I could do that, and I could do an 8-ounce one and put some toppings on, stuff like that. However, they came back and said, no, we want your ribeye. Okay, so I went back to them, and whenever they ask me for a menu at this price, I give them what their expectation is. Not what they think they're going to get, but I make a menu at that, but I usually give them 2 tiers of menus above it, and turn around price. You can have a chicken breast with a little bit of seasoning on it, not much, and some rice and vegetables for this, or we could do this, and we could do airline chicken's another upgrade, which is beautiful. And just show them some upgrades from there, because what they'll do is they'll graduate into these nicer menus. An apricot reduction sauce versus a shake and bake chicken type thing. I mean, these kind of things, you've got to groom them to it. And you know what? I walked into that situation where I'm at right now. Everything was $6. One last thing I'll leave you on.
No, you're good.
Don't serve Wednesday night dinner meals. Don't put them on your menu.
Yes, absolutely not.
They're already wondering why. I had another situation where it came up to me, and this was from the pastor there, and they said, I noticed that some of the food that I buy is being served to Meals on Wheels or in the cafe. But actually, you didn't buy that. You told me you wanted to spend $5 a person for 100 people. I prepare 120 to be safe, and you only 100 show up. I need to use that food to be a good steward. So those are things that'll come up in the small mind things.
Yeah,
But
small church is like we're charging $5 a head for dinner.
Right.
But then I'm paid by salary.
Right.
So then I do the same dinner for a catering group of 50, and they're like, well, why do you have to charge me $8 per person? Well, I've got to pay my time, and $3 per person isn't very much when you're talking about all the paper, all the other staff and hiring people outside of the
You also have to,
stuff.
when that situation comes up, well, again, don't put the same menu on, change the sauce, change
Yeah, well,
something.
that's what I do, and that's.
And then also address the fact that, hey, look, guys, this is a church-wide group ministry meal. That's done for the church as a ministry. That's not a profit making. I lose money on that meal.
Right.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that they understand that this meal is done at a loss to be a blessing to those people who come.
the church
Not a
absorbs some of
profit
those
center.
costs.
Yeah.
The church absorbs some of the costs
Yeah,
because they're
and
ministry.
like with me, I actually get subsidized for Wednesday night meal because they don't want me to raise my price. And I've told them, look, I can do this or this. What's your choice? I can raise price, or I can lower quality, or or we can increase headcount.
I'm a very small church too, 150, 180 top on Wednesday nights. And so what I do is I have menus that range at cost from $2.50 to $4.50. So most times we're making 50 cents maybe on a plate.
Right.
But then we also have the $15 cap for 5 people in a family or whatever. So we're never really making a profit.
Right.
However, one thing as a small church I've done that really helps our profit margin is all of our leftovers I freeze, and then I have a soup night, and and I'm telling you, people come out of the walls for soup. And, I have 5 different soups, and I use up all that inventory.
Right.
People love it, and there's no cost, basically, other than like butter that goes into the soup or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's almost free.
It's almost free. You know, throw some crackers and bread and a nice salad, and they're set, you know. But
Great
it's a
idea.
it's a great profit turnover.
Yes, ma'am.
The one thing that we do on our weekends, in a month period, I will have a mission team that is going out on a trip. They're very large. They have to raise anywhere from, $650 up to $3,000 per person.
Right.
And so for a month, they'll work the cafe. They make the meal, they make the breakfast, and they sell the product. The only thing I charge them for is the inventory that I put in the cafe. That's all I charge them for. The inventory can run anywhere from $250 up to $300, depending on what everything else, you bring it in, you sell it. I don't have a problem with that. They've profited anywhere from $1,200 up to $3,500 because we've got 2 or 3 different places where they can go. We've got the Cisco, we've got the US Foods, but we've got GFS marketplaces now that you can get, the food. You can buy 36 pork chops for $19, so they can get quality for a little price. I buy it for Tuesday church, our Tuesday church, which is like a Wednesday night.
Right,
It's our
midweek
it's
meal,
our
right.
it's our midweek for our seniors.
Right.
And I go buy that, and I'm lucky if I get my $3. I'm lucky if I get my $3 donation. You know what? No matter what, everything goes and it benefits the bread man that delivers the bread, brings all the desserts that you eat every week. Everything goes. It's a very mission-minded church where everything. You're right. I have to end up with. I got a $2,000 budget in my cafe. That's it. And so everything's got to go to missions. I better not spend any more than $2,000. That's usually pinky products.
Yeah.
Now, when you cater, Paul, do you charge for the use of the
That is a whole separate world because I don't have my own space. So the church controls space. So if it's an outside group, yes, there's a charge involved. If it's an inside group, depending upon if it's outside group, and sometimes ministries sponsor them, but there's still a space charge, and sometimes the ministry will pay for that space charge because it still costs money to put the lights in the air on.
Right.
So typically there is a charge, but if it's a Sunday school class wants to come together and have a social, no, there's no charge. If it's an in-house, there's a business meeting, there's not any back charge on that. It's just part of operations. But one thing that's nice about our calendaring software is the air is hooked up to it, so you have to calendar the room to have air conditioning. You can't just go into a room and use it. And you have to link food service to that room too, so you can't order food service unless you calendar a room. So we know where we're going to deliver.
Paul, what's the name of your program?
It's EMS, Event Management System. And the culinary is a add-on bundle, and then there's also a tech add-on bundle that you can do.
Event Pro is another one as well that does the same thing.
And Event U.
Now, is it typical, I hear people talking about budgets for their Wednesday night dinners, is that the norm? We have no budget for Wednesday night dinners.
I don't have a budget for Wednesday night.
Nothing
It's just,
comes in.
I just do operations.
Yeah.
Last week's profit, which doesn't exist, becomes this week's what I get to spend.
Is that the only thing you do at your church?
No, so I literally pull out of my other budget and kind of feed this monster over here, and that's kind of how it goes. But at the end of the year, when that budget's in the negative, no one ever says anything to me, so. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome that you have a separate budget to put out. I don't have a separate Wednesday night budget. It's just part of my general operation budget.
Right. Oh, okay.
And so.
Yeah, it says 0. It's supposed to say 0 at all times.
And so what we do is some of the outside groups that we're blessed to have to cater, that helps supplement that because the money just goes in one pool.
Like that any outside event that I do has to go into my main budget. And then the Wednesday night dinner, it literally is a separate account all on its own. And there's not supposed to be anything going in there, but they just kind of let me do it because otherwise.
How do you do your shopping with two different accounts?
Yeah, that's, well, I've got my credit card. I've got several actually, and I go and do my shopping, and then when I fill out it's called a check request form. I fill out my check request form and send it in and tell them which account I want it pulled out of. And I'm the only
So you
one.
have to separate all the items you bought.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is for Wednesday, and this is for the
horrible.
church.
That's so horrible.
Well, we have to itemize everything.
It's not.
Or is it you can have it come in that way, don't you?
How many hours a week do you man that process?
Well, I'm the only staff person.
Right.
And I'm hired for 20.
No, but how many hours do you spend on
doing
separating all of that?
Bookkeeping.
I don't know, I'd say probably a couple hours a week.
Are you considered a small
1/10
church?
of your time
Yeah.
is spent managing a $2,000 budget.
No budget.
So you need to
Zero.
bring that to point up to your administrator and say 1/10 of my time here is spent managing this tiny little budget that is stupid. That we don't need to track this. Why are we tracking this when we don't need to? If you say I need to track it, I will track it because you're my boss. But why are we tracking this when we're not getting any benefit from it?
Well, and at the end of the year, if that account is in the negative, all they do is transfer funds over anyway.
So
You can
why are we
track how
tracking
much
it?
you're spending on your menus every week.
Well,
then
that's-
you can make them see that it makes sense to make it one account.
Here's my goal. The reason I am all for tracking it is this. At the end of the year, this year, I have tracked, like you would not believe, every dime. And it's taken me a whole lot of extra time, but at the end of this year, I'm gonna be like, look, this account is $5,000 in the negative. Can I please have $5,000 every year for this ministry? If you want this ministry to exist, I need $5,000 a year. And I think that's probably what it'll be about $5,000.
Well, what you can do.
For a whole year to run that ministry.
Doing it that way also is you can let them see, it's just like we were talking about that coffee this morning. This is realistically what it costs. So either somebody eats it.
Yeah.
You add it into the budget.
Yep.
Or you have the members pay for it, but that's what was kind of my position. None of that stuff was structured when I went aboard. But what I can do is when I place my order, I have it set up with U.S. Food Purveyor or whoever. If it's a cafe, or if it's banquet, or if it's Wednesday night supper, I order it and have it coded that way so that when I code it out, when I take my invoices and get them all coded for the accounts, for the account department, it goes to her that way. So if it's BLG supplies, which is Sunday school supplies, all that stuff when I order it in depends on where it's from. I order it in under that, and when I code it that way, so it's going that way, rather than taking a whole invoice.
Right.
If you're buying from Sam's or somewhere else and having to break it out yourself.
Right.
But what coding it, like you say, helps them do is they actually get at the end of the year they see the cost.
Right.
And so
And
either
that's
you
my
charge
goal.
you charge that ministry head
Right.
for it, or you add it to the church budget or whatever, but at least now we got
money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't appear.
Right.
One of the things you may hear
So
is,
it's sad, but you know, they figure if you tack the word ministry to anything, that means it's free.
Yeah.
That's the truth there.
one of the things you'll hear though is a lot of us started right where you all are.
Yeah.
Right.
With smaller churches, they have a small churchman. I explained to Marcus the other day, I have a church that's actually a big church, still operating on a small to medium church mentality.
See, that's us. We're a large church.
We had a scenario. They're looking at my books 2 months ago and says, your labor is $40,000 higher than what what you're budgeted. First of all, I wasn't there when they budgeted. Second of all, our revenue is $140,000 higher in what we've made. So of course it's going to be higher. That labor was based on the revenue you anticipated.
That's one thing that you as the directors, if you don't understand this, you need to understand this, and you need to train your boss, who's typically the administrator, this technique. Because many church administrators don't understand percentage P&Ls. Does everybody understand a percentage P&L?
No.
Okay.
Everybody hears that part.
So Well, we didn't talk about that today.
Oh, okay.
But there is an accounting shop.
Yeah, there is accounting. So basically, you look at every single number in your ministry as a % of total sales. Okay? So, as long as that percentage stays consistent, you're good. You never look at the dollar amount. So, if your sales increase 50,000, well, naturally, your chemical's gonna go up, your paper's gonna go up, because it takes things to make money. But the increase should be proportional to the increase in sales.
Therefore, the percentage will stay the same.
So, they're complaining he's $40,000 more in labor. Well, as long as that increase in labor matches sales, he's good to go.
Right.
Because he's making the money to pay for it.
Right.
But
And
you
maybe
have
the
to look
labor-
at the percentage. You cannot look at number to number.
And that's also true in food, though. I mean, it's more importantly with food, but I mean,
Yes.
it's definitely gonna be with food.
And
If
that's
you-
where.
If they have you doing more work, you're gonna have a higher cost. You can't base it on a budget number.
Yeah.
You have to base it on a you wanna have a percentage guideline for it.
That's the
I
county.
think the real budget needs, my budget is more than 10 years old. They don't like to change budgets. And like literally, we're a large church, huge massive kitchen, and I have a $10,000 a year budget for everything,
How many
including
serve
supplying.
Well,
all
one,
of
you
that
should not be
cost.
shopping at Sam's.
I cannot shop at Sam's.
Or Costco or the grocery store or anything. You should not be buying anything on your credit card.
And even GFS marketplaces, unless you have an account with GFS, you're paying what, if I'm doing a barbecue at my house, I can go in GFS and buy it for the same price you are. However, if I have an account with GFS where they deliver it to my store, if I go into the store, I'm paying that price, that market.
Yeah, that's what I do. I have an account with a food service supplier, and that's,
Okay.
I get the deliveries, and my credit card is used for, things that I can't get through them, or maybe, just, you know.
Small quantity.
Smaller amounts, yeah.
And then you also have to think about, you need to factor in your time, your gas. Those are rolled into those costs.
They're very, well, but they make me do it separately. Like, I have to submit a mileage form
Right.
saying I drove this many
Right.
miles.
But that's still tacked on to that event.
That's your
Because
cost.
you had to travel for that
Right,
event.
right, yeah.
So, you didn't get that hamburger for $3.95 a pound, you paid $4 or
Right.
$4.50 because.
Because of the gas.
Yeah, and
Right.
And whereas if it was delivered,
Costco
if it
and
was
all that.
delivered, that would already be in there, that would be rolled in, that would be your actual cost. So, you have to think about those factors whenever you're, you know, is it cheaper really? You have to think about, especially you, because you're the only employee. Everybody in here, or most people in here, you're at the top of the food chain as far as food service goes. You're the most important employee in that department. You're paid the most out of your whole department. Is your time best spent driving around, picking up stuff as a delivery driver? Or is your time best spent calling a salesman, ordering and being done in 30 seconds, and then having time to manage your staff, having time to do a cost analysis that only you can do? You should be doing things that only you can do, not everybody else's job. Now, I'm all for getting in the trenches, washing dishes when we need to wash, folding tablecloths, doing whatever we need to do. But you have to work smart and manage your time properly. And if you're consistently driving to Costco every week or whatever, that's not a good use of your time. And you're not being effective in your ministry.
How big is your ministry? You say you're a large church. How big is it?
The food service industry?
Your church, well, how many, your church
Explain, and I
members?
use that a lot as I'm explaining.
We are just barely, we're about 3,000, well, on the books we have 7,000, but I would say, you know, you've
Okay.
got the difference between who's on the books and who actually comes.
Right.
It's about 2,500 versus about 7,000 on the books.
All right, guys, we're done officially. You're on break.
Remember the hospitality speak, and some of these questions,
Yeah.
I tell you, when I first came on board 5 years ago, I started talking to everybody I could. It's a great opportunity.
Gary, this your coat?
Yes, sir. You meet people personally that way, and
That's where you really know.
Yes.
And you get the information from the
you just got an email. Did she really?
That's not what I put in, that's what I.
I know more people that die at your church than I do my church.
Yours?
Yeah, that's.
Scotty, what do you
Oh,
got?
okay, I got one.
Okay, where are you going next?
I don't know.
Oh, hey guys, one other thing. There's a lot of resources on our website as well.
Oh, you're
You can
teaching?
go there and get other resources.
Oh, think they did one.
Oh, may I have one? Thank you.
We put it upside down though, so those
I
things
need
don't.
that so I can sit down and dig deeper. You move too fast.
Where are you going?
You know, volunteer. I finally had to,
Good.
I finally
Volunteer.
had to make.
You're gonna learn how to volunteer?
Where you gonna, Jared? I mean, come on.
No, next one to the right.
I mean, I can't go to the store for this. I mean,
Anybody else?
my time is valuable.
Is that this?
And there's
Look,
other
this
resources
is
on
right
there
down the
too.
street from us.
I'm up here today.
Oh.
Pleasure.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Paul, may I have another one?
Sir.
I got another guy that had food service with me and. Yeah. See, if I could learn volunteer.
Everything you
The presentations and the resources have been priced.
But I don't think I'll eat that. I took my dog to the vet yesterday. And he hadn't got the snack.
I mean, if you have your if you have your computer here, the file is tiny. I mean, you can save it to your computer really quick.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so in a large scale church, I may eventually want to end up doing this. Right now I have a catering, but I'd love to be ministry full time. Okay, so, as a minister, food service director, do you want more business? Because you're gonna get the same salary, and there's no family profit, you know, you personally, there's
When
no
I first started, that was the dilemma that I approached from a secular side.
Right.
I looked at the structure and said,
I think they're here.
so I said, well, let's put in a profit sharing agreement and blah, blah, blah. So we did this whole involved profit sharing agreement. And, I've never opted for it. And what I've learned from that is, yes, I want to grow my ministry. My ministry
Okay. Big difference.
It needs more work for me.
Right.
But it also enables me to be a blessing to my staff who now have enough hours to support themselves. It now enables me to hire more staff. It enables me to do a more excellent job because I have great resources for them now.
But you also have more employees to help you do the job that you've grown. Right.
So, overall, yes, it's more work, but you grow into it, you grow with it. It's not going from, $100,000 a year to $600,000 a year. And there's been a couple of let's see where I land. And when I hired, my other assistant, it was one of those times where I need more help. I can't make it to the next level without more help. But I don't have the resource to hire anybody. So I gotta trust that God is gonna honor this, that I'm making the right decision, that I'm not stealing.
And when do you know you need an assistant? I mean, right now, I'm prepping for 150, 180 by myself.
Getting out there.
I'm doing all the shopping.
Yeah.
How do I approach the church? With I have one volunteer that always brings her husband on Wednesday, and they come around 2 o'clock. And they basically maybe chop lettuce if I don't buy it pre-chopped. They put out the whole, the line with the silverware and all that kind of stuff, and they put the dressings ready. But they don't do the cooking. I do all the cooking. I do all of that.
Do you have the possibility to grow your business to a level within 3 months to support another person?
Well, that's, with this weekend, I'm trying to figure out how to bring more people in for Wednesday night supper, and then yes, I could do that. But right now, I have nothing to say, I need an assistant so that I can do more.
Do you go to your boss and you say, here's my vision?